Mara is so dead.
Yeah.
Like this shirt. Like it.
Yes, you do.
Somebody's mic is open, but I can't tell who. But everybody mic looks closed.
You do want. You need to stop. You're gonna eat mush.
Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophet's of Awakening.
I'm
Okay,
down my room.
meaning of band Bible study.
Yes, you do.
Like
Church
it.
of
Yes, you
Austin.
do.
Like it.
Okay.
And
Don't tear shirt.
what?
Don't tear shirt.
I'm telling you.
Somebody got their mic open.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shirt. T-shirt. Good t-shirt.
Oh, you get what? I'm get with you.
Nah. I told you it was Michelle.
Okay.
Michelle, her mic was open. You could hear the kids and stuff in the back. Get down. Her grandchildren in the background.
Okay, this is Prophet's of Awakening.
Michelle was always kicking hell.
Band Bible study.
He just kicked her out. You know,
Being a
off.
student.
Yep. Yep. What you throwing nail on the floor? Get down. Get yourself down. Yes. Nah, I ain't applying for 10 care. Okay. Uh-huh.
If it's hanging on some wire, she said, God, nothing like gas and water.
I can't tell. I can't tell if it's hanging on wire or not.
Well, they'll come out and see. It's hanging with some wires. I don't know what kind of wires they are, but they hanging on some wires.
But you know they might cut that, but they still ain't gonna cut those lower limbs.
He said he'll get it down.
They'll cut the whole tree down.
They might. They was over here cutting trees over this way.
Somebody got their mic open.
Back over here, they were cutting some of the trees down back there because the trees was on the wire. I don't know
What's going on?
Somebody got their mic open.
Hold on. Hold on. Y'all be quiet.
I don't know that voice. And Michelle came in, she got kicked out.
It was Gladys.
I couldn't see the vibration.
Somebody got their mic open. I don't know what's going on.
What were they saying?
Dude, they was like they were talking to someone else. Like we should cut the trees down. Like they were having a conversation with someone else.
Okay, it wasn't something crazy.
Okay, that was me. But my mic is muted, so I'm not sure what's happening.
Okay.
And Cheryl says she can't hear anyone.
You can hear somebody mic open.
I had to go in there and turn it up.
I'm gonna leave this.
I heard someone's messenger ringing, so I'm not sure if someone else is included on the class and we can hear them, but somebody messenger was ringing before you came on, and I was not unmuted. I was muted.
No, we heard you at first. We heard you talking. I can hear you in the background.
But I was muted though, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what the deal is. Something. Yeah. Okay.
And like we can still hear people now, and everybody else is muted except for me.
Well, you put these things in the freezer? I'll just put this back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna. The topic tonight is Queen of Sheba, and you can go to our Prophets of Awakening and check out our videos. It's a lot of information given. The videos will connect dots for you, take you to the truth of the scriptures. If you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, subscribe to the channel. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. Okay. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, Torah being the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Okay. Shalom and welcome to this channel. Welcome to the Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms, women's health, do some current events. We'll need to know information. Then we'll open it up for some questions. Then we go into the topic. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, I pray unto the Lord my God. We make our confessions, oh Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee and to them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us a confusion of face as it is this day to the men of Judah and unto the inhabitants of Jerusalem and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off. O Lord, hear this prayer and cause our face to shine upon thy people for your sake. O Lord, open your eyes and incline your ears to hear and behold our condition. O Lord, hear and forgive and hearken and do, defer not for thy own sake. O my Lord, for your people and the land need you desperately at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay, somebody gonna read a psalm?
I can read a psalm. Let me grab one right quick.
Okay.
I had a psalm to read, but you can go, Miss Gladys, if you want. I have a
No,
psalm.
go ahead,
This
go
is
ahead and read.
Go ahead.
Cheryl. Okay. Psalms 30 from 1 to 12. I will exalt thee, O Lord, thou God, for thou hast lifted me and hast not made me foe to rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me. O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of thy holiness. For his anger endureth but a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. Lord, by thy favor thou hast made my mountain to stand strong. Thou didst hide my face, and I was troubled. I cried to thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplications. What profit is there in my blood when I go down in the pit? Shall the dust praise thee? Shall it declare thy truth? Hear, O Lord, and have mercy upon me. Lord, be thou my helper. Thou hast turned from me my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloth and guard me with gladness, to the end that my glory may sing praises to thee and not be silent. O my God, O Lord my God, I will give thanks unto thee forever.
You good for now,
That
right?
was Psalms 30, 1 through 12. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You got any comments?
Yes, I have comments. And during this time, it was when David is giving thanks because at at this time he was rejoicing over his winnings of all the um, battles he had, and he fell a little short when he listened to Esau to do a census over his people, which Jabab told him not to do, and that's in Corinthians Chronicles, 21, chapter 21 and 1. He was he was so glad that he was boasting and everything. So he went into this proud moment, and through all of that, God had gave him three choices to make, and this is when he was talking about the pit, because God said you have 3 years of famine to choose, you have 3 months of having the enemy with the sword upon you, or you have 3 days of plague on Israel. So he chose the 3 days for the plague. And when he was saying that about his blood, what about, right here on verse, get it, sorry, verse 9, about what profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the dust praise thee? Shall it declare thy truth? So at that, what I get out in chapter verse 9 is that when the plague was happening, in the midst of the plague, he confessed, he cried out to the Lord that he was the one who was boastful. He was the one who caused things to happen, and for him to be punished, him and not the people. And so he was repenting at that point also. So this is all about being, to me, it's about being aware of what you do, and now the Lord is by your side regardless what happens, what you've done. He was there to bring David out of what he did, of his boastfulness. And also, he was able to, this was the time where he was getting the land ready for the building of the tabernacle, of the temple, I meant.
Okay. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Appreciate that. Got women's help.
Yes, shalom, everyone. I would like to apologize, but my mic was muted. I don't know what was going on, but we heard everyone talking. So I apologize again on my end. But please know that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is what are the healthiest beans? Let's check out these nutrient dense options to boost your diet. Beans are versatile, flavorful, and nutrient dense edible seeds in the form of pods within the legume family. They are used in many different types of cuisines across numerous cultures. Naturally low in fat with virtually no saturated fat or cholesterol, and rich in fiber and protein. Beans make for a heart and gut friendly addition to eating any plant. Beans also are rich in polyphenols, vitamins, and minerals. Beans and legumes have several health benefits. Eating more of them may help reduce cholesterol, decrease blood sugar levels, and increase healthy gut bacteria. Here are a few of the healthiest beans and legumes you can eat and why they're good for you. Legume is the dry fruit of plants of the legume family, such as peas or beans, that develops from a single carpel of a flower and usually splits into two halves with seeds attached to the seam of one half. Lentils. Lentils are one of the most iron rich legumes. Iron is a trace mineral that your body needs to make hemoglobin, a protein in the blood that transfers oxygen. Peas. Peas, high quality protein, fiber, micronutrients, and antioxidant compounds contribute to health benefits like nourishing good gut bacteria and maintaining healthy blood sugar levels. Peas are also a good source of vitamin K, which is a vitamin necessary for proper blood clotting and bone health. Kidney beans. Kidney beans contain a high amount of fiber and may help reduce the rise in blood sugar that happens after a meal. They also are high in folate, which is especially important nutrient during pregnancy. Pinto beans. Pinto beans may help reduce blood cholesterol and blood sugar while supporting gut health. Navy beans. Navy beans are a great source of fiber, B vitamins, and other minerals. This is just to name a few. The bottom line is that beans and legumes are excellent sources of dietary fiber, protein, B vitamins, and many other important vitamins and minerals which can help reduce blood sugar, boost heart health, and maintain a healthy gut. You can add them to soups and stews or just eat them on their own for a nutritional meal. I will be reading Genesis chapter 29, verses 29 through 34. Esau sells his birthright. Verse 29. And Jacob sod pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. 31. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me? 33. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Tonight's discussion was on what are the healthiest beings, and I read Genesis chapter 29, verses 29 through 34. Esau sells his birthright. Shalom, everyone.
Okay, we'll go to our current event.
Introducing glass office chair mats by here on the show, and very excited that you have this new book out. I hope everyone goes and checks it out. Nick.
French agitation. You see the French mining, one of the French mining companies actually put a stop to their work at the moment because they're very concerned given the rise of anti-French, anti-colonial sentiment across many former French colonies in Africa. So let's start with Gabon. I mean, you know, you and I did an episode, I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago, on the situation in Niger, and that has continued to escalate. So we'll be touching on that as well. But first, you know, with the situation in Gabon, why are people opposed to the government in Gabon? And how is it similar to what we're seeing in other areas across West Africa? You know, is it as anti-French and even maybe anti-imperialist to say what we're seeing in like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger? Or is this more of a reaction to the government that has been in charge for a very, very long time in that country that also happens to be pro-West?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great point there, Rania. I mean, I think, you know, from what we've seen so far, it may be more of the latter. I mean, it may be more directly about the Bongo family, which ruled Gabon, you know, for about 55 years, more or less, you know, from independence on, in the country, and that had a reputation, of course, of absolutely being one of the closest countries to France and to the West in Africa, and carrying out various things. For instance, they helped the United States and France build support for the intervention in Libya on the African continent. They were also one of the key drafters of the expansion of sanctions against Eritrea in 2011. So certainly they had that kind of reputation. They also, of course, had a reputation for taking a lot of the money out of the country and using it for their own self-aggrandizement. I mean, there was at least one investigation into the holdings of the Bongo family in France. They had something like maybe $100 million worth of property and other assets there in France, and that's just what the report could find out. And as that would, of course, suggest to you, you know, it's obviously a country that produces quite a bit of wealth. You know, the main export, as some people may have heard, is oil from Gabon. I think last year, it's a very relatively small country, so it's about $1 billion, I think, in oil revenues, which, you know, compared to like Saudi Arabia is nothing. But for a, you know, small country like this, it's very significant. They also sell carbon credits. They've started doing that over the past couple of years. There was a major logging industry there, but they've now claimed, at least, that they are curtailing the logging industry, and they're setting up to try to sell about $2.2 billion worth of carbon credits over the next couple of years, although climate campaigners are saying that that's, you know, based on a lot of dodgy statistics. But, you know, nevertheless, it's a country that generates a fair amount of wealth, a relatively small population, about 2 million people. I think the per capita GDP is about $18,000 when you look at it in PPP terms. So on the surface, you know, it's not only generating a lot of wealth, but apparently, and I think the image they've always tried to present to the world is that, you know, people are living pretty well there. But that is the image they've presented, but not the reality. And I think that's why you saw people come out into the streets so quickly to welcome, you know, this new military government there. I mean, you've got, in a country with a huge amount of oil wealth, as I just mentioned, about 1/3 of the people who are living in poverty. Overall, you've got about 21% unemployment, but youth unemployment is more like 37%. So, you know, almost 40% of young people, you know, without, you know, jobs. So I think very similar to what we've seen in other countries in Africa that have had similar military transitions. I think you see people are ready to move on. They like to see a change. They don't think that the government of the Bongo family, the multiple governments, the father Omar, the son Ali, have been really delivering in terms of using the wealth to the, you know, maximum needs of the people there. This is something you also saw in 2016. Ali Bongo, who was deposed, ran in an election that I think was widely tipped as being fraudulent, or if not fraudulent, at least fully fraudulent, at least a little fraudulent. He was declared the winner nonetheless. There were big protests there in Gabon amongst the population. A number of people were killed. I believe about 1,000 people were arrested. And of course, you know, once it was suppressed, the Western countries went on and recognized
and, you know, the surrounding countries. But I know, Eugene, first we want to turn to another story before we come back to West Africa. So stay with us on more West Africa stuff.
Yes.
Go ahead, Eugene. I'll let you take it from there.
Well, I'm honored that you would have enough for the time.
You are very...
A little bit of a track relay here. Nonetheless, we want to turn to the ongoing issues regarding student debt in the United States. Obviously, a major issue.
Okay, so what they're talking about was it's a wave that started It's these and the French wanted to stop, but it can't stop. It's just one country after the next is they don't want to deal with them anymore. So okay, any comments on that?
Second Exodus is right at the door. Just like the first Exodus happened in Egypt during the time of Moses. After the Bantu rebelled against the Most High, the Bantu went into idolatry, worshipped foreign gods, and left their first love. Refer to Revelation 2:4. The Most High called upon Moses to lead out the children of Jacob, out of Egypt. He encountered resistance from the Pharaoh who wouldn't let them go. But after a long tussle, the Most High told Moses and Aaron to tell Pharaoh that he will send plagues. And Pharaoh's heart hardened the more against the word of Most High. But eventually he sent the 10 plagues that tormented all Egyptians for some time, until it came to Passover, when the Most High instructed his people to apply blood from goat on their doorposts, so that at night an angel of death would kill all the firstborns of the Egyptians. But to all Jacob's seed who obeyed, he would save and pass over. They were instructed to take bitter herbs and unleavened bread that evening of Passover, so that early the next morning they would leave Goshen, Egypt, for good. That is where we get the feast of Passover that we celebrate to this day. All signs since 2012 and before have been pointing towards this big event. We may not know the exact time, but Bible says it's time for my people to go back to his land Al-Kabulon that he gave to Abram. We remember when Abram fell into a deep sleep, went in a dream, and the Most High showed him that his children and descendants will break the laws of the Most High, and he will cause them to go into captivity into a land that is foreign. And they will be taken into captivity. Mothers, fathers, and children will be delivered to a foreign people, and they will be tormented for 400 years, where they will endure the killings, rape, and lynching, and all horrible things will endure, for you are my people. Being in captivity, in the fulfillment of prophecy, and therefore cannot be blamed on those that facilitated the fulfillment of the Most High's wishes. Those who sold others were just tools used to fulfill the commandments of the Most High. The children of Jacob and Esau were all captured by the white people and sold into captivity, because white people could not differentiate between the sons of Jacob and Esau. When the children of Esau had sold all children of Jacob, they were then captured and taken into captivity as well. The seller and the sold are both in captivity. It is important that we draw parallels in history between the first Exodus and the one to come. After these 400 years, I will deliver you, says the Most High, surely with a mighty hand, and will rule over you. In order to get a proper understanding of who the Most High's people are, and the importance of the chosen people to come back to the land of Africa, the land of promise, we have to acknowledge that not only the chosen ones are in captivity, but all other descendants of the children of the Most High, and he will return all his people and the chosen ones. Ezekiel 20 verses 37 to 38. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Most High. Jeremiah 30 verse 3. For lo, the days come, saith the Most High, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Most High. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that the Most High spoke concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Most High, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Most High of Hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds. And strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve the Most High their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Most High, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. In history, there has never been a people who have gone through so much oppression and hatred than the black people scattered to the four corners of the world. That is why racism exists to this day. It is a political tool, human construct, and ideology to put the melanated people under perpetual control through hatred. The machine was put in place to oppress him. Many activists in history tried to speak against it, like Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X, among many others, but were silenced and assassinated. The white people have put systems in place to continuously enslave and keep black people in colonization, and it's no longer physical. The IMF, UN, WHO, AID, and NGOs are all systems that keep black people oppressed, subjugated, and in poverty, under the control of the nations. From 1619 until the year 2019 marked the end of a 400-year period, foretold by the Most High through many prophets like Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Ezekiel. By the end of 2019, we saw the rise of the pandemic, which rendered many people immobile through worldwide lockdowns, and so it prevented Judah and Bantu diaspora from coming back en masse. This was not by coincidence, but the fulfillment of prophecy. Do extensive research and you will see the facts. The cabal delayed the plans for Jacobi's, Jacob's, return to his original land, the Holy Land, Sub-Sahara Africa. Soon the Most High will show his mighty hand, because he never goes behind his promises with his chosen people. He will surely honor Abram's promise, taking his remnants back to his holy land, Al-Kebulun, the land of milk and the land of our forefathers, and more also, honor the covenant he made to Abram, Isaac, and Jacob, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of the Savior. This is an important message to all black people scattered to the four corners of the world to prepare, for the time is near. Remember to study the word, so that you may stand approved. 2 Timothy 2 verse 15. That is all for now. Thank you for watching.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay. Got some need to
You
know.
see this black box right here? Well, I'm going to show you something right now. Some people...
You know, they're beginning to acknowledge it and also call for justice and fair treatment of Africa. The latest person to join this conversation is the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who says how Africa has been treated in terms of lending to them, in terms of climate justice, in terms of doing business with them is unfair, and that has to change.
It is essential, especially for Africa. The African continent, a historic victim of slavery and colonialism, continues to confront grave injustices. On average, African countries pay 4 times more for borrowing than the United States and 8 times more than the wealthiest European countries. And African countries accounts for just 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions, but it is an epicenter of climate chaos, suffering disproportionately impacts of climate change.
Hello there, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of our conversations. My name is Adira Ganga. I'm a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming on here talking about Black people, Africa, empowerment, and how we can rise up and take a rightful place at the global stage. You can connect with me on social media at Adira Ganga across all platforms. BRICS is currently ongoing, and the latest person to be given a platform to give his remarks is Antonio Guterres, who's the Secretary General of the United Nations. And even though the UN has come under a lot of criticism with how it has treated Africa, some African countries and developing countries, I think at the BRICS summit he came out and he was very equivocal and very categorical in what he said. He came with one agenda, and I think his agenda was to make sure that members of BRICS and developing countries felt seen, felt heard, and sort of gave them the reassurance that irrespective of most of the decisions that the UN makes, the UN sees what's happening to them, and the UN is keen to make things right. The first point he spoke about was multilateralism and the importance of having that, because BRICS breaking out and gaining its own momentum and power has made the world rethink organizations and how people cluster together and the cocoons that people form. And it's just very important that even the people who are seen as less than, children of a lesser God, have a place that they can go and they have equally powerful partners that can match the West. But in this conversation, they're treated as partners and equals, and the interests are looked into.
We are confronting existential challenges. The climate crisis is spiraling out of control. The global cost of living crisis is raging. Poverty, hunger, and inequalities are growing against the objectives of the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. New technologies are raising red flags without a global architecture to deal with them. And geopolitical divides and conflicts are multiplying with profound global implications, especially the impacts from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Excellencies, we are moving towards a multipolar world, and that is a positive thing. But multipolarity in itself is not enough to guarantee a peaceful or just global community. To be a factor of peace, equity, and justice in international relations, multipolarity must be supported by strong and effective multilateral institutions.
So what you're listening to is this is the Secretary General, and he's shining a light on the fact that the African countries are being misused and mistreated, and they're not being dealt with fairly. So he's making a stand, saying it's time to take a stand to fix that. Okay. Any comments on that?
No, sir.
I'm gonna open it up for the Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anything they want to bring up before I go into this topic? Bathsheba, Queen of Sheba.
Not at this time.
Okay.
Keep it quilted.
Let me get this straight first. So I'll go. Okay, so topic inside the class is Queen of Sheba. And so first, before I get started on that, I was going to break down the meaning of the word Sheba, because I mean Queen of Sheba, when you understand what's going on, didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's an order that the Most High have that's been in place that was it was just transforming it. It was just playing this role out like it did over and over again. So that what this word Sheba means, it's a girl's name first of all, and then it's a promise. What it means is a promise, or a daughter of an oak, wisdom, and then it's associated with the number 7. Sheba was tied with 7, so we know that that's the Most High Lord of hosts in heaven. That's the Most High number. We deal with 7, so this is where Sheba is tied to. It's like I said, it's tied to the word oak, and also voluptuous, which means beauty, and virtuous woman, and pretty much what it means. So, like I said, long before Bathsheba showed up, we're gonna go back and look at it, dealing with this word Sheba, right? So we go to Genesis chapter 21. Okay. And we're gonna see it right here. Genesis 21. This is at the when Abraham made the oath. Like I said, we know what the word means. Oath. All these seven, daughter of the oath. The oath, wisdom, all that. Number seven, all that promise, all tied to that word Sheba. So Genesis 21, verse 22, when Abraham made the covenant with Amalek, right? It says it came to pass at the time that Amalek and Pascal, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me here by God that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Amalek because of the well of water, which Amalek servants had violently taken away. And Amalek said, won't not have done this thing, neither did thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it today. But so what was going on? They was going around sabotaging the wells that Abraham had, particularly this well. Then Amalek 27, Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Amalek, both of them, and both of them made a covenant, right? And then 28, Abraham set seven, that's what this word Sheba means. Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. So he took 7 male lambs, set them off by itself. And then Amalek said unto Abraham, what mean these 7 ewe lambs, which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, well, these 7 ewe lambs shalt thou take of my hand, that thou may be a witness unto me that I have dug this well. Wherefore he called the place Beersheba. So you see the Sheba right here. Now we know why he's saying it, why what his word is coming up, because they were both because they swore, both of them. So they swore oath, and then they also used these 7 ewe lambs, which we know they represent the 7 archangels, 7 angels, eyes of God. They made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Amalek rose up and Pascal, chief captain of the host, and they returned unto the land of Philistine. So when you understand that what's going on with this Bathsheba, this word Bathsheba, you'll see it keep coming up. Every time something is going on, they end up by this well. Whether it's Isaac, Jacob, and then later on in the Israel history, this well right here, this well kept coming up. And it's called it right here. This is what Abraham made his oath at with Amalek. It says 33. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called it there the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in Palestine and the land of the days, Palestine land many days. So see what I'm talking about. You go to Genesis 18, right? And you'll see that Genesis 18 verse 1, and the Lord appeared on him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. So this is the same place, same region, same area. He says over in 21 that he built a grove. The grove is tied to right here where Abraham was at when these 3 angels came. They was near the grove, but the well is also there too. And that's where a lot of the stuff, when you realize what's going on, is occurring right there in that place, in the area right there, which is where this well is. Got sheep, so that's tied to Abraham. So then you go to 2 Samuel, right? Chapter 11, David. Okay. And then we see right here, David, he encounters Bathsheba. Says, and it came to pass after the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Ribah. But David tarried still at the Jerusalem, and it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house, and from the roof of it he saw a beautiful woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. That's one of the definitions of Sheba, right? And David went sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, "Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elon, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" So we had a conversation first of the year about out of the book of Nathan. You know, I searched it out and I got the book of Nathan, which is one of the prophets during David's time. And in that book of Nathan, Bathsheba's father, Elam, she was a beautiful girl from the time she was young. So her father always would pray continuously to the Most High about her, and he said that he prayed that the Lord would make her the wife of a king. That was his prayer. And also in that book, we know that Uriah was eavesdropping on him, because Uriah was infatuated with Bathsheba, and he wanted her. So he trying to find a way how to get her. So he would follow Elam, and he heard Elam's prayer. That's how he got her. But notice what the definition is: the daughter of an oath. So Elam had made an oath to the Lord that he give Bathsheba a king. And so she fit all those descriptions of this word. There's a woman's name. She's promised, the daughter of an oath, wisdom, and it's also the word seven. So now you see it's no coincidence that the two of them was going to run into each other. They also, now it's justified why Solomon was chosen. Okay? So go on to in 2 Kings. This is when Solomon came on the scene. See how this Sheba is following these men of God. So I'm in 2 Kings chapter 10. Okay. So this is Solomon. Now Solomon on the throne. Notice it came up with Abraham, it came up with David, and now we dealing with Solomon in chapter 10. It says, and when the Queen of Sheba, it goes to 7, oath, wisdom, all that. And it's embodied in this word Sheba. And when Queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train. There were camels that bore spices, very much gold and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sittings of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up into the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. How I believed not the words until I came, and mine eyes have seen it, and behold, the half was not told me thy wisdom, and prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these that thy servants which stand continuously before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he the king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold and of spices very great store and precious stones, and there came no more such abundance of spices as these which the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. So like now you know with the proper understanding that these events these not happenstance. You understand what's going on. So anyway, one of the things I want to shine a light on before I move forward is I was telling you how it's a kingdom in heaven, just like as above, so below. So verse 8, happy are thy men, happy are thy, this Solomon, he's sitting on David's throne. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continuously before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Same thing in heaven. You got these 7 angels, most high on his throne. Happy are they. And then they there when he's spewing his wisdom out. They're listening to it. Lord of hosts right there, Michael's. Same thing happening on heaven. This is why Israel is his footstool. Same thing that is happening in heaven. That's what is going on down on earth. And Michael is the one that he's got in charge of it, making sure that manifests itself and continue to manifest itself. And that's what he comes to telling these men of Israel, the prophets and the priests and all them. And notice what he says right here. This is why he says, Jacob I love and Esau I hate. The reason he loved Jacob, verse 9, blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighteth in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he, because he loved them, therefore made he the king to do judgment and justice. That's how we got over here. We stopped doing judgment and justice. When we were no longer good for nothing. That's why he cast us out. We wasn't keeping justice and judgment on earth, same way it's done in heaven. Okay, so my point is to shine a light on the fact that about Bathsheba. So what I want to do now is I'm gonna play this video on a little short video on the history of Bathsheba, right? Okay.
One of the most enigmatic figures found in the 3 Abrahamic faiths of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam is the Queen of Sheba. Apart from her presence in these 3 religions, the Queen plays an important role in the history and identity of the Ethiopian people. But is the story of the Queen of Sheba true or simply a legend? What is the story, and did she really exist? Up next on Desire to Share. Most people regard the Queen of Sheba to be a legendary figure. However, in Ethiopia, the Queen is believed to have existed and is revered as the mother of the nation. According to ancient Ethiopian manuscripts, the Queen of Sheba is believed to be the founder of the Solomonic dynasty, which ruled over the country until its last ruler, Haile Selassie I, was deposed in 1974. Both the Hebrew Bible and the Quran have stories of the Queen of Sheba. In both these religious texts, we never get to know the name of the queen. However, the different traditions have given her different names. For example, Arab sources refer to the Queen of Sheba as Balkis or Bilkis. On the other hand, a Christian source known as the Declaris Mulieribus, which means concerning famous women, refers to the legendary queen as Nikaula. This ancient text was written in the 14th century by Florentine author Giovanni Boccaccio. And finally, the Ethiopians refer to the Queen of Sheba as Makeda. This name is found in the Kebra Nagast, which is a collection of stories written in the 14th century and considered to be Ethiopia's national epic. The Kebra Nagast means the glory of kings. In the Hebrew Bible, the story about the Queen of Sheba is found in the first book of Kings, chapter 10, from verses 1 to 13, and in the second book of Chronicles, chapter 9, verses 1 to 12. In both books, we find more or less the same thing about the Queen of Sheba visiting Jerusalem. We learn that the queen visited Solomon as she had heard of his fame concerning the name of the Lord. The queen had a set of hard questions that she wanted to ask Solomon. For her visit to Jerusalem, the queen traveled in a long caravan with camels that carried bare spices and a lot of gold and precious stones. We then learn that the Queen of Sheba asked Solomon the questions that she had said, and the king was able to answer all of them. The queen was overwhelmed by Solomon's wisdom as well as the wealth of his kingdom. Of course, the presence of the Queen of Sheba in the Hebrew Bible is meant to show off Solomon's wisdom, the wealth of his kingdom, and to glorify God. At the same time, we also get a glimpse of the wealth possessed by the Queen of Sheba. 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 10. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as this which the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the navy also of Hiram, that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty of almug trees and precious stones. Likewise, Solomon treated the Queen of Sheba with great generosity during her stay in Jerusalem. We learn that the king gave the queen all she desired and whatever she asked for, besides which he gave her of his royal bounty. After that, the Queen of Sheba returns to her own country and does not reappear in the Hebrew Bible. When we come to the New Testament, the Queen of Sheba makes a cameo appearance in Matthew chapter 12, verse 42. In this verse, Jesus is rebuking the scribes and Pharisees who are asking him for a sign by saying Queen of Sheba, which is quite similar to the one found in the Hebrew Bible. In Surat An-Nam, the story of the queen begins with a bird known as a hoopoe. The bird brings news to Solomon about the land of Sheba. The bird reports that this land is governed by a woman who has been given all things and has a great throne. Moreover, the bird reports that the queen and her subjects are worshipping the sun instead of worshipping Allah, and Satan has made their deeds pleasing to them and averted them from Allah, so they are not guided. When Solomon got this report, he commanded the bird to deliver a letter to the Queen of Sheba, in which he invites her and her kingdom to submit to Allah. The queen got the letter and consulted with her advisors on what she should reply to Solomon. The men responded by saying, "We are men of strength and of great military might, but the command is yours, so see what you will command." The queen is very much aware of her kingdom's military might. However, she opted for a more diplomatic approach. She knows that when kings enter a city, they ruin it and render the honor of its people humbled. She did not want this to be done to her people. So, instead, she sent gifts back to Solomon and waited to see what will happen. In Jerusalem, Solomon got the gifts sent by the Queen of Sheba, but he rejected them. He said, "Do you provide me with wealth? But what Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. Rather, it is you who rejoice in your gift." Apart from this, Solomon threatened to take military action if the queen did not start worshipping Allah. He told the messengers, "Return to them, for we will surely come to them with soldiers that they will be powerless to encounter, and we will surely expel them therefrom in humiliation, and they will be debased." When the Queen of Sheba got this message, she decided to travel to Jerusalem. But before her arrival, Solomon called one of his jinns and had him bring the Queen of Sheba's throne back to his palace and had it disguised. This was done to see if the queen would be able to recognize her own throne. When the Queen of Sheba reached Jerusalem, she was invited to the palatial hall, and mistaking the glass floor for water, when the ark was opened, the circumcised boys stood or bowed their bodies to half their height. On the other hand, the uncircumcised boys fell prostrate on the ground. However, the most significant embellishment to the story is found in the Kebra Nagast. In this text, the Queen of Sheba is called Makeda and is said to have stayed in Jerusalem for 6 months, where she learned from Solomon. On the last night of her stay, she was tricked by the king into having sex with him. According to the tale, Solomon had invited the queen to a banquet during which spicy food was served. The spicy food was meant to make the queen thirsty. After the banquet, the king invited the queen to stay in his palace for the night. The queen agreed, but had one condition, that Solomon will not take her by force. And Solomon agreed to that, but he also had his condition, that the queen will not take anything from him by force. Makeda was slightly offended, but she agreed to stay in the palace. In the middle of the night, the queen woke up, and since she was very thirsty, she reached for a jar of water close to her bed. Solomon appeared and warned the queen that if she drank the water, she would be breaking her oath of taking something from him by force. But Makeda's thirst was very strong, and she drank the water, thus freeing Solomon from his oath. The two ended up spending the night together. Makeda became pregnant, and when she returned to her kingdom, gave birth to a son, Menelik, who became the first emperor of Ethiopia.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. Sheba is in what part of Africa?
Say that again.
Where's the land of Sheba? In what part of Africa?
It's Ethiopia. That's another name for Ethiopia.
Oh, okay. And that's
Ethiopia, Yemen, all the same area. When the colonizers came, they broke it up in this different name, but that whole region where Ethiopia, Yemen, and all that was all the land of Sheba.
And then he mentioned that she brought gold and spices and things. So that land was rich with a lot of things.
Right, exactly. That's pretty much the whole of Africa is like that. So, yeah. Anybody else have any comments before we close out?
Shalom. When the New Testament talk about Bathsheba, they talk about it as a Caucasian woman,
Right.
Bathsheba, and they show it on the television like that, when that was a black woman, Ethiopian.
Right. They got Solomon White too.
Yep, and got Solomon White.
Right. So they got it all backwards. They got they telling us in history that in our history books that Nefertiti, not Nefertiti, but Cleopatra was black queen, but she was white, and they got you thinking that Bathsheba was white when she was black. So they got us all twisted up. But that goes back to, like I said, when you understand what this word Sheba means, a lot of stuff come into focus. So it's the same thing with why did he bring forth the nation of Israel? The nation of Israel was supposed to bring judgment. That's what he gave them, the law, statutes, and judgment, for them to, use them for the other nations to come and see that and then, pattern themselves after them. But they didn't do that. And that's how we ended up over here. That's why we use the apple as our, because he gave us the laws, statutes, and judgment to perform. Okay.
Shalom.
Right.
When we were speaking on David with the Queen of Sheba, Solomon with the Queen of Sheba, how many queens did the King of Sheba have?
I mean, queens.
Yes, sir. Because during the time of David, during the time of Solomon, during the time of the first one.
One. It's only one.
Only one. So she came back several times.
Right. The same woman. Yeah. Okay. We'll play this right here and then we'll close out.
Have I forgotten the feeling of dark matter, manifesting in the most intricate spaces? Traces and remnants of our love pepper our memories, vaguely recalling in our minds a time when we fit together like lock and key, complementing each other like moon and sea. We poked holes in the sky to let our light shine through, danced among the space because this place was made for me. We could dominate this place, set ablaze our love and create stars and quasars with the embers. But we've forgotten who we are, so how can we create what we don't remember?
Okay. Shalom.
Shalom.
See y'all tomorrow night for our clubhouse room at 8 o'clock in Clubhouse. Shalom.
Shalom.